Today we're talking about starting a business. And you may have noticed the title of the video is Reduce Down, Then Expand. Don't start so broad. And one of the major issues I see in the reselling community is people come in, they're new, they learn about all sorts of fields. They may learn about selling clothing, shoes, video games, vintage things, antiques. And they're so excited to sell, and they go to the thrift store and they buy a cart full of everything, and they go home and they're not able to flip any of it, and they get so demoralized, so upset, and they quit right away. And this is more of a warning video in a sense, but it's also here to educate you on why this doesn't work out so well. And the simple answer is this: you can't know everything about everything. It's just not possible. No one can. There's always something to learn, something new to gain, and more information that needs stored in your brain about reselling or anything in life for that matter. For instance, if I came on video and I tell you I'm an expert in selling vintage things, clothing, shoes, hats, ties, video games, electronics, cell phones, you look at me like I'm some type of moron, because of course I'm not an expert in all that. I don't even consider myself an expert in selling video games, and I've been doing it for quite a while. But just like I'm no expert in all of that, well, neither are you, and neither can you be. You may be an expert in one or two things at some point in your life, but you can't do it all the time. It's just not possible. So my advice to anyone new in this field who wants to actually do well and succeed is to pick a few things you really like, things you want to learn about, things you're passionate about. For me, it was video games. Maybe for you, it's shoes. Pick something you really like and focus in on it. I mean, like in a microscopic level, maybe down to only selling a couple brands, or maybe down to only selling Nintendo products, or down to selling just cell phones from Samsung. Break it way down and narrow it in, and then start selling those things. And once you start selling those successfully for quite a while, and you're flipping money and you're making a profit, that's when you have the ability to expand out a little more. And the theory behind this is much like constructing a building. You have the base, right? It holds everything together. In the reselling analogy, the base is your consistent income. You're flipping these things consistently, you have money coming in consistently, and you're doing well. Above that, you have multiple floors, right? And a building, that's where you store lots of things. In this case, in reselling, it may be where you store information, but these floors not only have other information, but they're complementary streams of income. In my case, it might be YouTube or affiliate links or selling other things besides video games. And for you, it can be the same. But start a side project once the base is built and doing well and constructed and you feel good about it. Start one side project at a time. Maybe branch out into selling just more types of shoes. Or maybe then you start selling a few types of ties and you're doing well there. Then you can add another floor. And once that floor is doing well, you can add another floor. And much like constructing a building, if you do it slowly and you work your way up, everything will work out and it'll construct and hold up, right? It'll manage to stand there through the wind or the slow season in reselling, and you'll do well. But the most important part about this is what I call the addict, and it's not the best analogy for a skyscraper, but I guess we could call it the penthouse suite or whatever you want. At the top, I always limit myself to one major project. One project that can cost me a lot of money. One project that has the potential to make a lot of mistakes. These are your risky projects. In a lot of cases, I might say in reselling, it might be private label or buying, pallets or storage units or something that takes a lot of effort and time to flip or has the potential of a large monetary loss. But you don't ever want to add those into your business until everything else is constructed and doing well. When I first started selling, I was doing very well on eBay. I was selling video games and doing great. And I decided I'm going to start my own website. I paid a web designer $2,500, the only $2,500 I had at the time. And he ended up making me this horrible website that didn't work. He lived in a different state, so I couldn't even sue him. I had no money to do so anyways. And there goes $2,500 of capital that I could have used for so many other things. And it put me so far behind. It depressed me and made me so upset. And I was this close to quitting. And by chance, I decided to put a video on YouTube, and people watched. And that's actually why I stayed in the reselling community. But that mistake could have cost me all of this channel, this following, the knowledge I have of selling video games, the ability to make this video. It could have cost me all of that because it was that demoralizing. And that's why you don't want to go right to something that's extremely risky. Yes, risk can come with reward, but calculated risk is always a much better idea than impulsive risk. So don't do something impulsive thinking it may grow your business, because it may, but it's likely to not. There's a few other important rules. You should never add more floors to your building than you can manage properly. If it's becoming to an issue for you to even manage selling on eBay and Amazon and doing private label or whatever else it may be, running a blog and working part-time. If it's becoming too much, that's when you need to do one of two things. Take a step back and focus in on your ground floor again, or hire help, which I'm never against. I think hiring help is a great idea. However, I think a lot of people hire friends and family, which can be very dangerous, so you have to be smart about who you hire. And they also spend a lot of time vetting for like the best employee in the world. However, we're reselling, so you're very unlikely to find some amazing employee that wants to do this. Most people that you're going to get to work for you want some extra side income, and they're going to realize they could probably resell too, so you have to watch. You know, you may end up flipping employees, stuff like that. But I don't want to talk about employees too much here. It's just the point of don't put too much on your plate to the point you're just stressed, you can't handle it, and yeah, you're making money, but you're seemingly ready to break at any second. And this business model I'm talking about, this narrowing in and then expanding out, is very much like what Amazon did in the beginning, right? I believe they originally sold books and CDs or something, and they were very narrowed in on that market, and they did really well. And then they just started expanding, and like wildfire, they took over. Now they're one of the biggest retailers in the world, if not the biggest. And that business model is exactly what I'm talking about. Too many people want the Amazon Now business model, and they forget where Amazon was. And that is very important, because Amazon didn't become what it is today without that original start. And you could be who you are tomorrow because your original start was done properly. So I hope this video was helpful. I get a lot of questions from new sellers, and they often ask me things like how they should sell clothing, or how they should sell shoes, or how they should sell video games. And I often tell them not to. I say, don't sell all that stuff. Instead, focus on something you like. And the reason you do that is because you have to get a feel for reselling, see if you actually like reselling at all. But if you sell something you like, it makes it that much more enjoyable. I love going through old video games. I love cleaning video games and testing them. I love seeing things from my childhood or decorating my office and all this stuff. It means a lot to me, and it brings back a lot of nostalgia, and it gives me a great feeling. That's why I sell video games. I don't sell video games because they necessarily make the most amount of money. Actually, it's one of the most competitive fields around. And it's only getting worse because now retro systems are being re-released. So that only makes it that much harder. But I do enjoy it. So I will never stop selling video games, most likely, unless it's truly unprofitable. But I always come back to it. It's always something I remember. And it's how I'm going to start from the ground up again. And it'll probably always be how I start from the ground up if I need to, because it's got that special place in my heart. But I also know a lot about it because I put in the time, I put in the effort to build that foundation, and that doesn't go away.
Hey everyone, Mike here, and there's a few other things I want to add to this video. First and foremost, if you're new to selling, always go soak up as much free information as you can before you ever decide to throw money into learning programs, books, ebooks, tutorials, all that type of stuff. There's plenty of free content out there that you can find that is great quality and probably has the exact same information you're paying for. You might have to look a little harder, but usually it's worth it, especially when you don't have a lot of capital to waste. So I highly recommend that if you're new in this community, you go soak up all the free information before you ever consider spending your hard-earned money on things that could be potentially questionable. And if you do spend money on those, please take the time to make sure you're getting them from a good, high-quality source who isn't leading you down the wrong path, because this happens quite often. People come into the community, they get ripped off by people who are selling these snake oil solutions to problems that don't even really occur. So I just highly recommend that you vet out the people you buy from way beforehand. I would also like to add that the best way you can learn in the reselling community is to make friends. It can be a very lonely business, so it's nice to make friends. Join the community, be a part of the Facebook groups and the YouTube community and all the people around you. It really does help make it a lot less monotonous. I think the big issue is you're stuck alone a lot. You're listing on the computer. It's nice to have people to talk to, bounce ideas off of. It's cool to post something and get information and learn. One of the best tools for learning is just post something and ask questions about it. Plenty of people are willing to help. And lastly, the most important thing you can do is to start selling. Start soon. Make the mistakes. Sell things. Pick up a few things around your house that maybe you want to learn about and sell, or maybe you like those things, and go sell those first. It's really easy to start reselling, and that's why a lot of new people flock into this community. But they get discouraged because they're learning constantly and they're not actually doing what they need to do. Go sell things. Go make mistakes. Go lose money on a couple items at a time, and then you'll learn very important lessons. And you have to learn these lessons to be successful later. So go make a few mistakes, sell a few things, and then learn from that. But make sure to ask questions and find free information along the way, because those can help you succeed. But you're never going to have a 100% success rate. It's just not going to happen. And it's a unrealistic expectation that a lot of people have. So if you're new here and you have any questions or you need help, post on this video. I'll happily answer all the questions I can. My viewers tend to help answer questions as well. We have a Facebook group you can join and ask questions. There's lots of options for help. So I wish you the best of luck if you are new to selling. And if you're not new to selling and you kind of like this video or the idea behind it and you have more questions, feel free to ask as well. I think this business model really is the best long-term business model you can have. A lot of people are thinking very short-term. They flip things quickly and they don't think about the fact that they're really building a business. To me, I've always been interested in building long-term successful businesses, not some short-term side income. It's just not that useful to me. I would rather build something that's a little more stable, something that can last me, something that I have around for quite a few years, and not a thing that's going to disappear in a year or two. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me, post down below, ask in the Facebook group, post on my Facebook page. I'm always around and I'm always looking to help out. I appreciate your time. Have a good day.